She's a bad mama. She's a bad mama.
Bang.
She's a bad mama. Just as fine as she can be.
Hey guys, I'm B. Alexis Wright, celebrity and multiple award-winning stylist, and I am here to give you guys the sew-in one-on-one. So I don't know why my live wasn't working, but I'm going to go ahead and drop you guys a video. And if you have any questions, you can leave it in the comments. Over the years, I've received tons and tons and tons of questions about my sew-ins. How they last so long, how do you decide pricing, what's the best thread to use, what's the best tools and products and things like that. So today I'll be covering some of those questions that I've gotten before. And again, if you have any additional questions, drop them in the comments and I'll go ahead and answer them later. One of the biggest questions I get is, how do you price your sew-ins? So I always tell my students, when you're pricing your sew-ins, you're gonna decide how to price them based on the time it takes you and your skill level. So for me, it takes me 2 to 2.5 hours to complete a full sew-in, from braid down to styling. And I've been doing hair or sew-ins for roughly about 21 years now. So my skill level is a little bit higher because I have 20 years of experience under my belt. And not only that, but I invest in myself. I go to classes regularly. I'm always trying to learn. I don't mind spending money for somebody to teach me what to do. So if you want someone to invest in you, you have to invest in yourself. Cost of products and tools. That's a big one, because we all know that prices are going up because of the tariffs, and just in general, prices are going up because the cost of living is going up. So you have to look at, how much is it going to cost you to provide this service? And if you wouldn't work a regular full-time job for that price, then you should not be doing sew-ins for that price. So on average, my products are, what can I think? Most of my products are professional products, so they do cost a little bit more than the products that you'll see in the stores. And I'll do that because I like quality. It works very well for my clients. Their hair is growing, and I just like the way the hair responds to the products. Sometimes I use Design Essentials, sometimes I use Influence, and then there is times where I'll go to the beauty supply store and get some products. But as far as styling tools, my tools cost, okay? I remember once upon a time, I would be like, I am never spending $150, $200 on no flat irons, because that's crazy, right? But what I noticed is, a $200 flat irons very differently than a $80 flat iron. And when I tell you I'll never buy an $80 flat iron again, I'll never buy an $80 flat iron again. My tools typically cost between $200 and $250 each. So I'm using quality products, and I'm also using quality tools. So that definitely makes a difference, and you'll see it at the end of your sew-in. Market rates. So you also want to see what the rates are going in your area. And I know you don't always want to be the cheapest. Just because you're the cheapest doesn't mean you're going to get the most clients. Also, you don't want to be extremely high over your market rate, because, I mean, you can, but you're going to want to make sure you have the talent to go with it and the credentials to go with it, so you can explain to your clients why you're able to charge that much. So like when clients ask me, B. Alexis, why are your sewing so expensive? Because I use quality products, I use quality tools, I have 20 years of experience, and I invest in myself regularly. If that means paying $1,500 for a class, I'm gonna do that if I feel like I need it, if I need to improve. I'm also gonna take client feedback, and because I've been doing sew-ins for so long and my client retention is very high, I get feedback from these clients, what's working, what's not working. So I can take all of that into consideration when doing my pricing. Also, I noticed, like, people will pay for quality. People will pay for the things that they want. So charge your price. And if they don't want to pay, then they're not your target audience. Somebody somewhere is willing to pay your price. Remember that. Over the years, another thing that I noticed is stylists that give out discount attract cheap clients. You hear that? Stylists that give out discounts attract cheap clients. Now, once in a blue, if you want to show some client appreciation, that's cool. But to run specials on a regular basis, people don't respect your craft. You'll notice that the only time that they book with you is when you're running a special, and that's not cool. You're also going to base your pricing off of the service that you're providing, whether you're incorporating a shampoo and blow dry, whether you're doing treatments, whether you're including hair. I don't know if y'all know, but quality bundles are so expensive. Like, I like to consider my bundles as affordable, but baby, I'm like, I don't even know what affordable is now, because with these tariffs, these extra taxes, like, it's crazy. So you want to make sure you're not losing money. All in all, most stylists charge between $150 and $400 for a sew-in, and that's without hair included. And it's definitely going to depend on the complexity of the sew-in and your brand expertise, like your reputation, which is why it's important to keep it clean. Next question that I received was, what's the biggest mistake new stylists make when doing sew-ins? I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but most of y'all braid in too tight, period. It's no reason to braid that tight. Like, it really is no reason to braid that tight, because as long as you have a secure braid, when you sew the weft, it's going to make it tighter. And if it's braided too tight, 9 times out of 10, it's going to pull the hair follicles clean out the head. And you don't want that, because then that's tarnishing your brand reputation. A key way to know whether your sewing is too tight, if the client says that their hair feels like it's burning, you're definitely pulling their hair completely out. So anytime a client say they feel like their hair is burning, make sure you get that sewing out immediately, or you risk further damage. Biggest mistake number 2, not securing the weft properly. So a lot of times this happens towards the end of the weft when you're cutting it. And if you don't secure it properly, the thread will come loose, especially if you're washing or if they're keeping it in for an extended period of time, it's going to come loose. And if you're doing just a regular stitching, the standard stitching, once it comes loose at the end, the entire track can come out. And that's a no-go. Now, if you're doing lock stitching, it makes it a little bit easier because you're basically locking the stitch after each stitch. You're locking the thread after each stitch. What makes it a little less likely to come loose, but you definitely want to make sure that towards the end, you're not looping it too much to where you're putting a lot of tension on that hair and knotting it once and it comes loose. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll do the lock stitch method, which I'll talk about that in a minute, and loop it 2 or 3 times and then go backwards through the thread, maybe once or twice, just to make sure that it's secure. Biggest mistake number 3, poor blending or leave out. When you are doing a leave out, I can't stress this enough. If their hair is natural, you don't want to leave a lot of leave out unless they have a natural looking style. I know sometimes it can be hard to decide what to leave out because you want to make sure you have enough to cover the tracks, but you also want to make sure it's not too much where the client can't keep it blended. So one thing I like to use is my soakening spray, and that fights against the humidity so it doesn't poof up too fast. It's a heat protectant, and it also helps it blend seamlessly, like a beautiful blend. And if you see my sew-ins, you know. If you can, you also want to try to use a wax stick if it doesn't weigh down the hair. You don't want to use too much wax because it'll weigh down the hair tremendously, and then it'll get stiff and tangle and all of that nasty stuff. Use a little bit of wax towards the end of the hair, and I mean the leave out hair, and chase your flat iron with your comb. That is like the biggest thing. Chasing your flat iron with the comb, and maybe using a little bit of wax or silkening mist or silkening spray, which I'll drop the link in the comments if you want to get mine. And that will help tremendously with blending it. And as far as the leave out portion, make sure you're not leaving out too much hair to where the client can't blend it. And sometimes our clients be asking for stuff and they have no idea the amount of maintenance it's going to take to maintain that sewing. So you as the expert have to let them know, hey, this is a little bit too much leave out. I want to make sure that you can blend your hair properly when you leave. So I think I'm going to do a little bit less. Are you okay with that? And let them decide. Another mistake is overloading the client hair with bundles. Y'all don't know how sick I be of clients being like, can you put 4 and 5 bundles in my hair? Can I? Yes. Will I? No. A lot of times, having all those bundles, for one, is way too heavy on your hair. It's going to put a lot of extra tension, which in return is going to make your hair fall out. I don't know what other way to tell you that. Now, if you have quality bundles, like my Alluring Illusion bundles, let me just tell you, baby, they are thick all the way to the end. All the way to the end. You don't need 4 or 5 bundles. If you have 4 or 5 bundles of these in your head, baby, you ain't gonna need it. A lot of times, if my sew-ins are 16 inches or shorter, I can use 2 bundles. 18 inches or longer, I may use 2.5. Now, once we start going over 22, then yes, I'm probably gonna use 3 bundles. And even when I do my 40-inch hair, because our bundles are so great, I only use 4 bundles for 40-inch hair. And one of the last mistakes I see that a lot of stylists make is not properly prepping the hair in scalp preparation. And when I say prepping the hair, I mean making sure that it's moisturized under your sew-in. And a lot of times stylists are like, make sure you come shampooed, blow dried with nothing on your hair. Then they braid you down, put a sew-in on top of it. No, we gotta moisturize the hair, guys. Especially if you're black. You gotta moisturize your hair. You hear me? Moisturize your hair. And what I also like to do is put either my hair growth serum in their scalp, because it helps with the itching that sometimes results of having a sew-in, or I'll use Design Essentials has a like tension and aloe oil that I'll use in the scalp as well, to make sure that the scalp is moisturized aside from the hair. Like, moisturizing the hair and prepping the scalp is 2 different things. Like, we got to make sure we're taking care of both. And then 2, let your clients know, put a little oil around the edges. It's okay, because what's going to happen is if your scalp gets too dry, especially towards the end of your sew-in, what it'll do is break your hair off. And lastly, when it comes to common mistakes, you want to make sure that you are telling your clients how to care for their hair when they leave. It is nothing like getting a sew-in, not knowing what you're doing because you never had a sew-in before, and then your stylist doesn't tell you how to take care of it. Upkeep. They don't tell you anything. You just go about your business and you think it's okay to flat iron it every day, or you think that you can wet it and wash it once a week. No. So you want to make sure you're educating your clients on how to take care of their hair. One of my favorite tools to use is a heatless roller. And my clients will tell you, I swear by them things, because they will keep your hair curly, they will keep it bouncy, they will keep it from getting heat damage, and you don't hardly ever have to curl your hair. That thing is a lifesaver. I'll make sure to drop the link for that as well. How do you keep your clients coming back for maintenance? So what you want to do is you want to educate them on the aftercare like we talked about. You want to offer maintenance packages if you can. Schedule follow-ups before they leave the salon, and consistently deliver polished and long-lasting installs. So your work is going to speak for itself. So if you do a great job at all of the things that we've already talked about, plus some other things I'm going to get into, and your client feels like you know what you're talking about, they're going to keep coming back. And especially if they can learn something from you. If you have taught them something that they didn't know about their hair, they're coming back, trust me. Before any client leaves your chair, you should be asking them if they would like to set their next appointment up. And the reason is, if you set their appointment while they're there, they are more likely to show up. If you wait for them to book it, a lot of times it don't happen. And unless you're going to call each client and say, hey guys, it's time for your maintenance, do you want to schedule an appointment? Then they won't be coming back. Unless they're just really tedious and just that person that's like, I got to keep my hair up. 9 times out of 10, they won't schedule a maintenance. And when I say maintenance, a lot of people get that confused. They think that you can tighten a sew-in up. Can you? Yes. Should you? No. Because what you're doing is putting extra tension on that hair. And all in all, you're never going to tighten it, because if the braids are this much from their scalp, ain't nothing thread can do to help you. Another question I get is, how can I upsell treatments and add-ons with sew-ins? So it really depends on the client. If they come in, their scalp is constantly dry and itchy, you can upsell like a scalp treatment. But what you want to do is you want to offer the service, and then, well, you want to explain why you're offering a service. Hey, client X, Y, and Z, your scalp looks really dry and itchy. How does it feel to you? 9 times out of 10, they'll say, oh yeah, I got a lot of dandruff. I gotta wash my hair every week. Okay, well, I have something for that. I can offer you a scalp treatment, and what that does is it'll lift all that dandruff and everything out of your scalp without you having to scrub it and peel it. And a lot of times what happens is it'll break your hair off when you do that. So if we do this scalp treatment, we'll be able to remove all of that, give you a little bit longer time span in between you having to wash it, and your hair won't break. If your client needs a trim, you want to make sure you tell them. And you're going to also explain to them that the reason why you're suggesting the trim is because when it comes to blending, dead hair doesn't do anything. It will not blend. When I tell you it won't blend, I know y'all be seeing people with their leave outs, and at the very end where their hair stops, it's like hella puffy, but everything else is straight. It's because they're interdead. Just remember, whatever service that you're upselling, make sure that it complements your sew-in. And you also want to make sure that it extends the life of the sew-in, and explain how it benefits the client, because if it benefits them, they're more likely to go ahead and book the service. What tools and supplies? What tools and supplies should every stylist have for sew-ins? And the number one thing you're gonna need is a needle and some thread. And there's 2 different kinds of thread. There's cotton thread, and then there's nylon thread. A lot of people don't know the difference between cotton and nylon, and I'm gonna get into that. Nylon thread is tougher. If your client washes their hair a lot, then that's what you're gonna wanna use. It is a little bit slippery than cotton thread, so you wanna use the lock stitch method when you're using nylon thread. And when I tell you today, I just found like the best nylon thread ever, I'm gonna drop that in the comments too. Shout out to my girl. Cotton thread is made of natural fibers. It is thicker, it's softer and less slippery, but it does absorb moisture. So if you're gonna be washing your hair a lot, I don't suggest using cotton thread, because what'll happen is, because it's made of natural fibers, it'll break. And then guess what? Your tracks are slipping. Okay, so you also wanna make sure you have like the alligator clips, whether it's the plastic ones or the metal ones. You wanna make sure you have combs. You wanna make sure you have like shears, or like the razor with the comb, so that you can do layers if you need to, or even to cut the thread and cut your tracks. A blow dryer, a good blow dryer, so that you can make sure the hair is nicely detangled, and a flat iron. And baby, if you haven't tried my Alluring Illusions flat irons, whew, you don't know what you're missing. I'll drop the link for that as well. One pass does the trick every time. You want to make sure you have some sort of heat protectant and styling products, whether that's a light holding spray or a shine spray. And like I said, whatever you're going to use for a heat protectant, because you want to make sure that you're protecting your client's hair. I will drop the link for my silkening spray. Some of our clients need netting caps. So if their hair is a little weaker or their edges are a little thinner, you want to make sure that you're using a weeding netting cap. So that way you're alleviating a lot of the tension, like around the temple area, or wherever they may be having some hair loss, so that you're not making it worse. And sometimes a lot of clients, like at the crown of their head, will have thinner hair. If you need to use a closure, make sure you have a closure on hand, or you can recommend a quality closure to them. Alluring Illusions hair has quality closures. HD, transparent, whatever you need. 5x5, 4x4, hit me up, I got you. But yeah, you want to make sure that if they need a closure or a frontal, that if you're not able to provide it, you're able to give them recommendations on where to get it from. And lastly, one of the final questions I get is, should you use braiding hair to braid down the hair? All of your clients are going to be different. Some people are allergic to synthetic hair. Some people have thinner hair. Some people have thicker hair. So I just go by each client and how their hair is. For the most part, the thing that I do consistently is use braiding hair for the very first braids around the perimeter of the hair and along the back. The back is usually the finest part of the hair. Right here is usually like the softest piece, or like where people lose their edges a lot. So what I do is I like to use a little bit of braiding hair just to kind of secure that braid. Hey guys, like where people lose their edges a lot. So what I do is I like to use a little bit of braiding hair just to kind of secure that braid, because that's going to be your anchor braid. If you feel like your client's hair is thick enough to where you do not need to add braiding hair, that's okay. You don't have to do it. Just make sure that you have a quality braid down, because if not, the hair is going to get frizzy, the hair is going to tangle around it, and especially if they're natural, like, you're going to have an issue. So just make sure you're doing a quality braid down. And if your client's hair is thinner and you feel like the sewing might be a little too heavy or it may cause breakage, then I will go ahead and use a little bit of braiding hair just to kind of secure that braid, and then use a netting cap. All right, so I went ahead and addressed all the questions that I've been asked. If you have additional questions, you can go ahead and drop them in the comments, and I'll go ahead and get back to you guys. I am releasing a sewing masterclass digitally on Black Friday for you guys, and anybody that has participated in my Q&A, I got a special surprise for you guys. But make sure you guys stay on the lookout for my sewing masterclass. I do one-on-ones, and I'll be doing hands-on classes as well, just to make sure you guys are really getting it, because you can make a career off of doing hair. You can make a career off of just doing sewings. And when I tell you the love that I have for doing extensions, it is like unmatched. And let me just tell y'all though, hold on, because this curly hair is doing it, baby. Y'all know I don't even be wearing my hair out. I do not be wearing my hair out, okay? But the way I've been rocking this natural look, whew. Oh, I did want to mention something. It's a little off topic, but it's still hair related. I've been seeing Baskin leather products all over the place, so I was so hyped to try it. When I tell you I hate it, yep, I said it, I hate it. Look at my edges. I try to do some real cute edges before this live, and they be like, it don't move. Oh no, it moves. And they don't even lay straight. It just don't look good. Like, I don't know. And they said don't make your hair crunchy and hard, but it does. I probably shouldn't even be talking about this. This should be like a different video. You know what? We're gonna get back to that. But I don't like them. I don't like none of their products. And maybe I just haven't tried the right one, but everything makes my hair crunchy. I ain't used that this time. I forgot what she used. I'll drop that in the comments too, because baby, when I say I love it, it's soft. Anyway, sorry I'm getting off topic, but yeah, thanks for joining me, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm here to help. I do have one-on-one coaching to help you get your business to the 6-figure mark, and help you with whatever else you need, whether it's finances, business courses. I will be doing a budgeting class coming soon, because I know a lot of us struggle with our finances. My new book is dropping, 100 Financial Tips I Wish I Knew in My 20s, on October 15th. So I hope you can grab that. It's for any age, really. And if you're starting over, whether you're a teenager, college, you're just getting your life started, or you're just trying to get your life together, it's gonna help you. It has some relatable stories in there, and it has it has 100 tips, and I break down each of the tips, and I also give you some resources in the back, like apps to download, websites to go to, books to read, like the whole 9. Like when I say this is it, baby, this is it. So you better get it before they sell out. Love you guys. Talk to you later.